I'm sitting here with Steve Dec, Friday the 13th Part 2. This is awesome. It's great to meet you, sir.
Nice
Welcome to
meet
Niagara
you.
Falls.
I was Jason in Friday the 13th Part 2.
This is Jason from Friday the 13th Part 2. The real Jason.
The real Jason. And there's a reason why they call me the real Jason.
All right, so he's going to tell us the reason why he is the real Jason.
The reason I'm the real Jason is because when they first started filming, they hired a guy by the name of Warrington Gillette to play the role of Jason. They found him out in California where they were doing the casting. And they fitted him for all the prosthetic makeup because Jason has this grotesque face. So they fitted him in California for all the prosthetic makeup. But in reality, they thought he was a stuntman. And you know, Jason, who doesn't speak and has a bag over his head, has to do his own stunts. And the very first shot in the movie is Jason coming through the window at the end of the film, getting Ginny down. But Warrington, who they thought was a stuntman, wasn't. And he was afraid to go through the window. And the stunt coordinator at the time, a guy by the name of Cliff Cudney, said, we got to get a guy. And I was in New York. Screen Actors Guild was on strike. I hadn't worked in about 4 months. And he called me up and he said, listen, I'm doing this film. It's called Jason. And the guy that they hired to play this character, he can't do his own stunts, so we need a stunt guy. You're the right size. You want the job? I said, yeah, I want the job. I hadn't worked in 3 months, 4 months. And that's how I got the job. I rolled up to Connecticut. I walked into the producer and the director, Steve Dec. He said, yeah, he's the right size. And they said, take him to the wardrobe and see, if he fits the costume. Because they already shot a couple of scenes of Jason walking through the woods. So the costume had to fit. And I fitted in the costume, and I came back, and they said, oh, he looks great. And they said, get the bag. And I looked at Cliff, and I said, what do they mean the bag? And he said, you got a bag over your head. I've got a bag over my head. What do you mean I got a bag over my head? Well, it's this character. He has a really grotesque face. Then the bag comes off at the end of the movie, and it shows this terrible face. So for the whole movie, you got the bag. I said, so I'm Jason with a bag on my head. He said, yeah. And I said, all right. I said, all right, well, let me see the script. He says, you don't got a script. I said, what do you mean I don't have a script? He said, well, you have no lines. I have no lines. I mean, I got a bag over my head, I got no lines, and yet I'm Jason, the star of the movie. He said, that's right. And that's how I got the job.
Wow, that's incredible. So while you're on the set, you said there's no script.
No script.
But wasn't there any kind of following, like you had to,
It was all direction on movement. Movement and stunts. You were going to get hit, you were going to roll, you're going to dive, you're going to chase Ginny for the whole movie. You're chasing this girl, and you're killing these kids that are having sex.
That's it.
That's it. That's all you got to do. So they shoot the kids having sex, then they shoot Jason killing the person. You got to remember, 1981. I didn't know anything. Jason was who knew Jason in 1981? Today, it's another story. You say Jason. Oh, Jason. It's a big thing.
Right. Jason.
Yeah.
That's Jason. That's what everybody knows.
No, this is Jason with the bag over his
head. But
that's
the real Jason.
This is the real Jason.
Absolutely. But
how I got the name, the real Jason, was because the guy that they hired to play Jason, they fired. But he went around many years later saying that he did the Jason character when he didn't. So when I found out he was doing that in these conventions, I came to the convention. Everybody said, well, you're the real Jason. I said, that's right. And that's how I got the name, the real Jason.
So with regard to that, would you have had to have rights from something because...
I got nothing. Because his agent, who signed a contract with Paramount for him to be Jason, the agent wouldn't release him from the screen credit. So when you see the screen credit, Jason, it says Warrington Gillette. But I'm on the back of the film as Jason, the stunt double.
Oh, wow.
And I agreed to it at the time because I was out of work. Screen Actors Guild was on strike. I was lucky to get a job. And I didn't think it was going to mean anything in years, going forward.
Right.
So what did I care about the credit? Whereas now, everybody knows who the real Jason is, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
So when Friday the 13th, the original came out, did you see it? Did you actually see the film itself?
No.
And so you had no idea what you were getting into?
It was a job.
It was it. It's a job.
I was an actor that was out of work looking for work. It was a job.
Right. Okay. Wow.
That's been the whole story with me with the acting business. It was work. A lot of people look at the acting thing differently than I do.
Okay.
I'm looking at the money.
Sure.
In the acting thing.
Absolutely. So on the set, how grueling for your stunts, those rolls, the punches, how?
No, I was a stunt guy, so that was all natural to me.
Okay.
I had learned how to do stunts back. The very first film I did was called Fort Apache the Bronx. And the second film I did was The Jazz Singer with Neil Diamond and Laurence Olivier. Well, of course, Fort Apache the Bronx with Paul Newman and Danny Aiello. But I met a guy, Cliff Cudney, who was doing a film called Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone and Billy D. Williams. And Cliff, when I met him on the set, he said, you look like a young guy, strong. I was young then, good looking, strong. And
still good looking.
He says, you want to be a stuntman? And I said, no, I'm an actor. But he was the one that taught me how to be a stuntman. Right. So I had learned how to do stunts. So when Cliff, the stunt coordinator, was working on Friday, that's why he said, I'll get Steve, because he can do these kind of stunts. Fighting, rolling, falling down. And they were basic stunts. It was not a big deal, But it required somebody who knew it, because I got hurt on the film. I broke my ribs, I got burned. Amy, the girl I was chasing, cut my finger with a machete. I got 13 stitches. So there is a little bit of danger, let's say, but not really, because it's all rehearsed.
It's all rehearsed. So these are all young kids on a set. Yourself, somewhat seasoned actor at that point. Did you have any? Did they come to you for advice on anything? They knew that you were a stuntman, but they would.
No, when you're a stuntman,
I wasn't. I don't know.
When you're a stuntman on a show, nobody's going to ask. You got to know what you're doing. The stunt coordinator is the guy that gives all the advice out or anything like that. But the actors, the kids, when we're working with them, if there was a scene set up like the fight scene I had with Paul, where everything comes crashing down on it. That was all set up by the stunt coordinator. And he worked with the actors to show them how to do the stunts. And I would rehearse 1 or 2 times with the actor in the fight scene with movement and stuff like that. So, yeah, we worked with the actors, but the stunt coordinator really is the guy that puts the thing together, not the stuntman. The stuntman does whatever the stunt coordinator wants.
Okay. Now, you said they shot in October. How was it out there for conditions?
We worked at night, it was all filmed at night, and it was very cold, we were shooting up in Connecticut, so the nights were, in the freezing, around freezing, 30, 35 degrees, 32 degrees, and we stayed right in a campsite, so, we were right on location at the time.
Well, he mentioned that he was on the set of, he worked with Sylvester Stallone, Nighthawks. I'm sorry, I'm going to switch gears. How was that?
That was exciting.
Yeah.
That was very exciting, because that was really the very first film that I got on as an actor. I had done, and where I had a contract, because I had done Fort Apache the Bronx one day. I had The Jazz Singer one day, a day player actor. And then I did the Nighthawks. I got as a contract. I went in and I got interviewed, had a contract, a weekly contract as an actor. I was very excited about it. I was a young guy. And then I meet this stunt coordinator guy who says, you want to be a stuntman? And I wanted to be an actor, But I was taking the job, and then when I showed up on set to go to work, I was ready to go to a trailer because we were shooting on location on 59th Street. We were shooting on the tram, the overhead tram.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the location we were on. And I showed up that day. I was very excited. And I showed up that day, and I found the first AD, assistant director, and I said, my name is Steve Dec, because I was using my real name at that time. And he said, yeah, you'll find your name on the outside of the trailer. It was very exciting. and all the trailers were lined up, and I walked along looking for my name, and then I see my name, but it's in a list of names, and the heading on it is stuntmen.
Oh.
And I said, stuntmen, wait a minute, what is this? And then I opened the door, and this Cliff Cudney, the stunt coordinator, goes, he says, how you doing, buddy? And I met him in the production office. I said, I'm not a stuntman, I'm an actor. He says, well, actors make $15.75 a week. Stuntmen make $18.75. What do you want to be, a stuntman? I said, I'll be a stuntman. So he took me under his wing, and that's how I became a stuntman.
Right. How many films have you done?
Probably about 40.
About 40?
Probably.
Of all those films, what would be your favorite?
My favorite
The
film?
favorite one you were in?
I got to tell you, the favorite film I ever did, it never came out. It was a film called Trust Me, where I played a mafia don, and I was a mafia don, and the film never made it. We shot it. What we did was we shot a teaser, a 20-minute teaser. He was trying to sell it so he could make the full film, and we did that, and it's on my IMDb, as a matter of fact. They have clips on IMDb. If you go to the clip, it's on the IMDb. That was my favorite role because I had the lead, you know what I mean? And I got to do what I like doing best.
So is that a full film? Like it's complete?
It's not. It's not complete.
No.
He never finished it.
Oh, they never finished it. Okay.
Never finished it. Trust me.
Trust me.
And I'll tell you, but I will tell you, of the films that are done, I would say that the one I enjoyed the most on was Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone. I was on that show for about 4 weeks, and I was what they called a utility stunt guy, my first stunt thing. But I worked every day. I got to meet a lot of people, moved around and made a lot of connections, and that was probably one that I had the most fun on, that I enjoyed being involved in. There was other stuff that I did. I did a TV series called Truck One, which was about the emergency service police, and I was a stunt guy on that for a while. I was on another show, a TV show called Tattingers. I was the assistant stunt coordinator on that show. That was a TV show with Blythe Danner and Stephen Collins. The thing I liked the most was the money.
Sure.
I know I always come back to that.
Hey.
But that to me was what I was there for. And the acting, acting for me is just a natural thing. No big deal.
Now, did you study acting?
No.
You've never
I was a
studied?
New York City policeman.
Oh, wow.
I was a New York City policeman for 11 years. And you be a New York City cop, you can act.
I guess
You
so.
got to wear a lot of hats when you're a New York City cop. So I think I took, when I got hurt in the line of duty, I was in an accident. And when I retired from the police department, that's how I got into acting.
Wow. And if you don't mind me asking, from what years to what years?
I don't mind you asking anything.
From what years to what years were you an officer?
I was a New York City policeman from 1966 to 1977.
Afterwards, did you stay in touch with any of your police friends
No,
afterwards?
I don't stay in touch with anybody.
There you go. So look at that. If you wanted to stay in
touch
with Steve, forget it.
I work with you.
Total right on.
When we're done with this interview, we're done.
We're done, and that's it. We'll never
It's
see each
over,
other
right.
again. Thanks very much, and we'll call it a
Nice
day.
to see you. Have a nice day. They call it memories, friends, and 8x10s.
Memories, friends, and 8x10s.
I can
love
talk
it.
to you today. Believe it or not, you ask my wife. I'll run into you tomorrow and say, "Who's that guy?"
Oh, there we go. Sometimers. Is that what it is?
Right.
The body count continues. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. The day you count on for terror is not over. Friday the 13th, part 2.
What are you doing now, Steve?
I'm here at this convention, and I've decided I'm going to retire from the cab business in September. I'm building a home down in Florida.
Okay.
And we're going to get back into the convention business and doing movies again. I got a friend, Tom Churchill, who produced Emerging Past, which I was in. He's shooting a couple of movies, and he wants me to get involved. And he's got a deal where he's doing like 5 movies for somebody. So he's the kind of guy we have De Niro, Scorsese relationship. Him and I are friends. You know, he wants me to be in all his movies, that kind of stuff. So I think I'll do it at 72. I'm ready to go back to work.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you watch movies?
Yeah, we go to the movies a lot. I like to go to the theater, the movies. I don't like to watch movies on TV. I like to go to the movie theaters. My wife and I go to the movie theaters at least once or twice a week.
Do you, myself, I'm a movie buff. Do you have a favorite movie?
You know, that I walk out of more movies than I stay watching. My favorite movie of all time that I'll watch over and over and over again is Patton with George C. Scott.
Patton?
Yeah. I love Patton. I love George C. Scott. And I love Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason's movie that he did called Gigolo, where he was a deaf... Gigo.
Oh,
Gigo.
Gigo.
Yeah, he was
Yes.
deaf and dumb. Yeah.
Right.
Fabulous actor. Jackie Gleason and Jerry Lewis. Those two guys.
Jerry Lewis.
Those are my two favorite guys, Jackie Gleason and Jerry Lewis.
So one other question I wanted to ask Steve regarding Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali recently passed away, and today has been a hard day, even for myself. Just tell us a little bit about your experience if you met him.
He was 2 years older than me. He was 74. I had the honor of meeting him one time in Jacksonville, Florida, with George Foreman. I was always a huge. I was very impressed by him because I knew at the time that he refused to go into the military, that he claimed conscientious objector. I believed at that time that he was a Muslim, and I believed that he didn't want to kill anybody. And when he gave up his boxing career for the religion, at that time, I gave him a lot of credit. And I was always a fan. And recently, I watched something on A&E. His daughter is in a show called 60 Days, where they were in jail for 60 days. But it's a reality show. And I watch the show every week, and every time I look, I love Muhammad Ali. I thought he was a great guy. I was very upset this morning. It actually affected me. I said to my wife, I said, "Geez, it's a shame, you know."
Yeah,
we got to go sometime.
Well, that's it. And 2016 has been rough on a lot of. There's been a lot of people that have lost, Prince and just all these, like you said. Well,
I don't care about it.
No, but I'm just saying.
What is so great about Prince? I don't get it.
Well, he was a great.
How could they compare him to Michael Jackson?
Oh gosh, you can't.
There was none.
No, God,
How
no.
could they compare him to Whitney Houston?
Oh no.
Can't compare. But yet they're playing this guy for 3 weeks on TV like the guy was. I don't get it.
Well, he was a great guitarist.
I don't know.
But I know you don't like the loud stuff.
No, I just don't. I don't. I don't know.
Do you want to say something to Ari Lehman?
Oh, Ari Lehman, he doesn't shut up, for God's sakes. He's a nice kid, but he doesn't know when to shut up.
He says he's the real Jason.
Oh, yeah.
No, he's the first Jason.
In his mind.
He's
in
the
his
first
mind.
Jason.
In his mind.
In his mind.
In his mind.
Oh, this has been great.
All of these guys in their mind, they're the real Jason. I'm the real Jason. You've met the real guy.
This is it. We found him finally. The real Jason. Steve Dec, right here.
Great being on your show.
Thank you very much for doing this.
Thanks,
really
buddy.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't cut any my stuff out.